Hi everyone, let's begin. Harmonization with this session 100%, going both ways. Wonderful, so let's take a moment, take a deeper look at the pattern of energy that's presenting itself to us today. So the first thing that I notice as I open my attention is an increased sensation inside of my left lower rib cage. It feels inside of the body. I'm feeling a heavy weight bearing down in this area. My attention moves into the spleen, but it continues to move in more deeply into the spleen. So I'm inside of the cortex of the spleen. So the white inside of this red organ, I'm looking at a production of cells. So it's like bubble, split into another bubble, split into another bubble, split into another bubble. So like cells dividing and creating, moving from one ball of something into a ball of just thousands of different little tiny white spheres. Multiplicity, something that's going on right now. I'm feeling this tilting line pop up from the area of the spleen itself, which is your lower rib cage here, and it's kind of arching up, and it's inclusive of my neck on the left side, like it's a swoop that moves up the body and it curves into and around this ear. So it's like a semicircle that does something like this. There's a C shape here going in the opposite direction that a C would go into, right? So there's something to do with the spleen, something to do with this multiplicity, something to do with this division. Is division the right word? Okay, division is not the right word, multiplicity is not the right word, but something to do with this, something to do with this. Something to do with the divide, something to do with growing, something to do with, do we know? Okay, so we don't know. Can we know? So if we knew how to come to terms with this word, with this label for this emotional pattern that we are currently unaware of, to do with this cellular division that's going on, what would we do? What would I do? Interesting. So evolution is the word that's coming to mind. Evolution, right? Growing and changing into something else, moving from one into many is a form of evolution in the body, right? Between each cellular division, between each change, between each split from 1 into 2 and 2 into 4 and so on and so forth, we're gaining new expertise, we're gaining new information, and there's the potential for us to adapt or to mutate into something else. So that's what we're looking into here. We're looking into an emotional pattern to do with evolution, to do with change in the body that has become stuck. It has become stuck where it should be moving. All energy, all information should be actively moving and flowing in these vortice-like shapes. Right? That's what reality is made up of, these vortice-like shapes that we perceive as physical matter because we are those same vortice-like shapes. We're made up of the same stuff, the same substrate. But something about this information to do with the word evolution is not moving when it should be moving, because everything should be moving. My attention goes into my left cheekbone and it spirals around behind the left eye. I'm getting carried behind the nerve that comes out of the back of the eye, the optic nerve on the left side, into the brain. There's electrical activity here. Crossing over, crossing over, crossing over. This is something that happens in the physiological process of how you see things. Your left eye is connected to the right side of your visual centers of your brain. Your right eye is connected to the left side of the visual centers in your brain. So this is a second emotional pattern that's coming up that I'm feeling in the center of my head. It's a tilting line, but it's a tilting line that is flat, like that. It's crossing over in the center of my head, and it has to do with something about crossing over Is crossing over the exact right word? Okay, so there's something else going on here, right? Evolution and something about crossing over, which makes me think potentially death. No, okay, so not death. That's good. That's easier to work with. How about okay, so as I sit here, what's popping in through the left ear of receiving in this situation? Feminine energy, left side of things. Feminine energy has nothing to do with gender, has to do with energy dynamics. Feminine energy surrounding my ability to receive things in the world, my ability to naturally magnetize things towards me as a result of who I am, my ability to magnetize opportunities towards me, wealth, abundance, health, everything that I could possibly need, the things that get attracted towards me as a result of me being who I am. That's feminine energy. So something about this crossing over to do with feminine energy, something about the change that occurs, not quite the change that occurs, more like the way that I perceive myself after I have changed, the way that I see myself as not necessarily being the same person that I was before after I have changed. There's something else related to that. It's not fear, but it's something. Dissatisfaction is the word that's coming to mind. When I change, I know that I'm going to change into something else. And it makes it feel like the person that I was before is dying. It makes it feel like the person that I was before is not relevant or useful, and that I was wasting time being me, right? I was wasting time showing up as the person that I was if I'm just going to show up a week from now and be someone who's completely different. Why am I spending all of this time being who I am now if I'm just going to be someone else later? Something about resistance towards evolution, because I feel like I've been robbed of the person that I am now. Isn't the person that I am now enough? Wasn't I created in God's image? Isn't the person that I am now enough? But all of this, not just you, but everything that you happen to be a part of is made in God's image. Not just you. God's image is a fluctuating, moving, growing, evolving thing that is coming to know itself. You are a piece of that puzzle. And yes, in each moment you are exactly the way that you are supposed to be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Everything that's happened to you, whether you actively made the choice or not, would have happened anyway because it was in the grand scheme of things. You were a piece of the puzzle of evolution of God that is happening anyway. No matter what, it's happening anyway. Change is an aspect of what is. It's not something that is good or bad. It's just the way that things are when we don't get in the way, right? It's not about me being important as me as the individual that I see myself to be egoically. It's about me showing up and allowing for things to be the way that they are, right? If I have expectations of things needing to be a specific way, I'm going to get the information that's moving about around me stuck in that lens. It's going to get stuck in that area as it has to be this way. It has to be me in this way. It has to have my expression in this way. The thing that I see as me has to express in this way. So now it's stuck being this way. But you're not just you. You're one small part of a much bigger moving consciousness, right? And all of it is supposed to be moving all the time. If one piece gets stuck, then that shuts down processes in the whole thing. That shuts down processes in the whole function. Because everything is connected to everything else, and everything is always supposed to be changing. Everything is always supposed to be growing and moving and evolving. And consistency is different. Consistency is not the same thing as things not changing. Because consistency comes from a choice that can come from a growth in behavior, right? That's completely different. It allows you to say, I'm choosing to show up in this specific way because I can see that it benefits my reality and myself and the people around me in a specific way. Versus, I'm stuck being this version of myself because I'm attached to myself showing up in this way and myself being good enough because everyone in my belief in God has told me that I'm good enough the way that I am, so I don't have to change. More like you don't have to try to change. Change is going to happen anyway. But if you get so attached to who you are now being good enough, who you are now being perfect and ideal and all these different things, then you get yourself stuck in the phase of growth that you're in now, and you're not able to pass through the critical periods that allow for you to grow into someone who you might actually more enjoy being, right? Because we're here to be these aspects of consciousness that are constantly growing and moving and changing, right? That's what we're here to do. And if we deviate away from that purpose, right? The purpose just being change, just being growth and evolution and expression, right? Then we feel like there's something that's not right. Then we feel like we're not accomplishing what we're here to do. Then we feel like, where is my purpose? Why can't I find the things that I'm here to do? And it's because you're not here to do something specific. You're here to grow and to change and to be you. Your purpose is to be who you are, right? But who you are is and should always be an ever-growing and evolving thing. That's okay, and it's not something that you have to try to do. It can be something that you try to do, but usually you'll get pulled into these directions anyway, even if it is through a process of like a self-growth seminar or whatever the thing is that you find yourself drawn to in this moment. You went that way because you were subconsciously drawn to it and you didn't know why. It was like, oh, this thing is magnetizing me and I'm going in that direction, and now I'm taking these courses about self-growth that are helping me change in a specific way that my consciousness has let me know through my inkling and through my desire and my excitement to move in that direction that I'm supposed to be moving in that direction. But whether or not it happens through you actively going through a self-growth book or a self-growth seminar, whatever it is, you're always growing, you're always becoming more of who you're meant to be, right? That's part of the process of being here, especially doing these things, right? When I sit down and I feel the feelings that are inside, those feelings that are inside that I'm feeling are coming from stuck points that I have associated with me and things that need to be a specific way, whether that be me or an outcome that needs to be a specific way. And I've gotten stuck to things needing to be a specific way, either because I've decided that it needs to be that way, or society has told me that something needs to be a specific way. So then I see it only in that way. I see what I expect to see, right? So it's better to show up without expectations, because then I can have the potential to see things the way that they actually are instead of the way that I expect to see them, right? If I expect to see something in a certain way, I will see it in the way that I expect to see it. If I just show up without expectations, I might see it the way that it actually is, which may be better than my expectations of how I really want things to be, or how I need things to be. But you don't know how you need things to be, because again, everything is subjective. There's never been something that's been objective in your life. Even those big research papers where everything is written down as objective analysis, it's not objective because it came from a bunch of individuals who were subjectively viewing information and then writing down their subjective experience about that information. You just got enough people doing that you made a big list and you decided to say, oh, this is something different. No, it's just a bunch of people still doing something subjective, right? That doesn't make it objective. That just makes it that you wrote it down. That's the only difference. You wrote it down, right? Anyway, so we're here in this moment, right? We're here in this moment. And it's this stuck point of change, which, by the way, the emotion from the before and after, the emotion of us feeling as though us moving into a new version of ourselves is something negative, is this still present in the body? No, just discussing it allowed for that movement to occur, and now the stuck point is no longer there. But there's still something within this evolution, right? There's still something within this evolution that we need to know more about. So let's go, something popping up again on the left side to do with receiving. I'm feeling increased textural sensation inside of my ear on the left side. A lot of heat coming off the body as well. Not really a whole lot of thoughts moving through my mind right now, but I can notice that there's something happening. I can notice that I'm not thinking about doing that, but my arm is moving. It's likely tracing a pattern within the energy. It's looking for where's the next vortice, where's the next piece of movement leading to all of this stuff, all of this information, all the ether that everything is floating upon is moving constantly. Even the stuck points want to move. It's always a current of information, which means eventually this current of information will bump up against the stuck point. Once it does, then I can start to ask more about that information. What's inside of the stuck point? We're still moving. It's down, and it's speeding up, it's accelerating, it's moving into a vortex in front of the body. And it's a point very far away. It's a point, where is that? That's farther than my arm width. It's about twice the length of my arm width out. We have a vortex that's forming at about the level of the chest and the solar plexus. It comes to a point. The tip of the tornado is about 12 feet in front of the body. It's a bright, shining, twinkling star at the tip of this tornado. I'm here. I just heard, here you go. And someone handed me an envelope that popped out of that shining star and it swiveled out through the tornado. Now it's here. There's like an email on this side of my head. Just doo-doo-doo-doo. Here you go. You have mail. So here we go. We have mail here. If I knew how to open this envelope to receive the information inside of this email, what would I do? You have a quest. It says you have a quest, and then 0 out of 1 here. What's the quest? Show up as who you are today. Just show up as who you are today. It's okay. You don't need to try to force it to be something else. Show up as who you are today, and ask the question, what if a miracle happened? What if a miracle happened today? You don't need to look for it. You just set the invitation. What if a miracle happened today? There's something here that we're not seeing because we're attached to it showing up in a specific way. But if I can just say, what if a miracle happened today? I don't know how it's going to show up. It could be anything. It could be miraculous healing. It could be miraculously someone reaches out to me that I haven't heard from in a long time. It could be, oh, I found a parking spot in a really good spot all of a sudden. Or, oh, the song that I've been thinking about all week all of a sudden came on the radio. Or it could be anything. Anything. But us looking for it and us waiting for it, us looking for something specific has prevented this piece of information from dropping into our consciousness. I encourage you to ask today, what if a miracle happened? And just watch what happens. Just watch what happens. That email comes into the center of the head, and it distributes through my brain, down through my peripheral nervous system. It's like my nerves are carrying this blue, sparky, electric blue activity that's running through all of my body. When that electrical activity is subsiding, as it's sort of settling and integrating into the body. Wonderful, and I feel very relaxed, like my whole body just had a breath out and a sigh. And during that inhale for that breath, nice big release in the center of my back as well. A lot of pops and cracks between my shoulder blades there. Take a big breath and let it fall. Okay, I believe that's all that I have for you today. Are these stuck emotions still present within our energy? Have we received all of the information that we need to receive from this session? Wonderful. Please do be so well. I hope that this was beneficial for you, and I'll see you next time.